guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a TBR. My last TBR went okay, but not great. I read half the books, but it was my first TBR in 5 years, so honestly I'm not disappointed in that. But I've been wanting to give a TBR another go and see if I can actually stick to it now that my reading is a little bit more consistent. And I'm going to be completely honest, I was supposed to have a reading vlog come out this week, but it's a very specific theme, and one of the books that I ordered for it didn't come in until the last minute, and then there was another delay. You know what, I don't have to be so secretive. Long story short, my snake is turning 2 years old next week, so I was planning to do a snake-themed reading vlog with him, just kind of an excuse to show him off, talk about him a little bit, stuff like that, give him a proper introduction to the channel. I did show him briefly on my comeback video, but I wanted to make a whole video out of it just for fun. But then he decided that he wanted to look his absolute best for you guys. So he went into shed. And if you don't know a lot about snakes and why that's a problem, he is currently blind. So it would be extra stressful right now to be picking him up and moving him around and stuff. So we're just going to delay it by a week so that he's more comfortable and so that he's, looking his absolute best for everybody. So instead, I am doing a quick TBR this week, and I'm going to show one of the books that I'm going to be reading for that vlog, but I want to keep the other ones a surprise. Also, if I sound sick, it's because I am sick. It's fine. Without any further ado, let's get into the books I plan on reading next month. Starting with a carryover from that last TBR, I have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I'm still interested in the other books in that TBR also, but I decided I'm only going to carry over one so it doesn't get too overwhelming and repetitive. This is a story about an author who gets invited to this mysterious weekend getaway in the middle of the woods. As an author, you should know better, but that's beside the point. Apparently it's organized by somebody that she used to know or an old friend or something like that. Apparently something happens, old memories resurface, and now they realize that there is something more going on in the woods. The premise does seem a little bit cliche, but I'm still into it. I'm a writer, I love the woods, I love books set in the woods, and I really am intrigued by the unlocking an old memory aspect to it. Anything that involves memory usually is something that I'm interested in, so I'm curious to get to this, and hopefully this month I actually do get to it. Next is a book that I started, but then I set it down to read something else, and I really want to get back to it, and that is Becoming All Elite: The Rise of AEW by Michael Sidgwick. This is a nonfiction about the history, inception, events leading up to the creation of the wrestling promotion AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and even though I lived through the inception of AEW, obviously it's a fairly new company, it's interesting seeing all of the other little tidbits of backstory that I didn't know, and being able to kind of rewatch it through the lens now that we're, 6-7 years back from it. I got about halfway through, and I absolutely love it so far. I am so excited to get back to it. I love the way that the author is so passionate and meticulous about the wrestling and about the matches themselves. He goes into so much detail about the storytelling behind the wrestling. And as someone who obviously loves stories and loves wrestling, I am just having such a great time. This is right up my alley. This is so much fun that I'm really excited to get back to it. The next book on my TBR is Babel by RF Kuang. This is set in 1828. We're following a Chinese orphan who is brought to London by this mysterious professor, I think, and he's studying languages and translation and magic and how the three of those kind of go together. His goal is to end up at Oxford's Royal Institute of Translation, which is kind of key to expanding the British Empire. So when Britain and China go to war, he's having a lot of mixed feelings about his current home versus his homeland. I'm really into language and translation. For a little while I actually wanted to be a translator when I grew up. Didn't end up happening, but it was a fun dream while I had it. I also loved the Poppy War trilogy by RF Kuang, and even though this is a completely different story, it has a lot of the elements that I loved most about the Poppy War. I really love the perspective of school and education in the context of a nation at war. I love following students who are getting roped into power plays by things that are way over their head. I really love seeing unimportant pawns try to make decisions and figure out where they stand within an institution that they're part of. I just really love all of those dynamics, and I also just really love the author's writing style. Next up is Oversea Understone by Susan Cooper. This is the first book in the Dark is Rising sequence. I have owned these books forever, but I've never read them. I believe it is a middle grade fantasy, maybe a little bit older. These siblings find an ancient map and there's this magical struggle between good and evil, that kind of vibe. I've seen it compared to the Chronicles of Narnia series, but I don't know how fair that is. This came out, I think, like 10 years after the Narnia books, and I don't know if the two stories are at all similar or if it's just genre, time period, and siblings going off on a magical adventure vibes. I do own all 5 books, and I've owned them forever. My mom bought them for me when I was like a teenager. She just found all 5 books for a really cheap price and picked them up for me. But I was at the age where I felt like I was too old to read these. Even though I appreciated the gift, as a teenager, I thought that middle grade was stupid and immature. I was way too old for that kind of thing. But now as an adult, where I'm no longer as insecure about how my reading is perceived, I'm able to enjoy other books for other audiences. Like, my favorite book that I read so far this year is a middle grade. So I think that now that I'm old enough to have kind of outgrown that childish mentality that I used to have, I'm able to give these books a fair chance. And like I said, I own all 5, so it's about time that I at least read the first one and decide if the series is for me or if it just isn't my cup of tea and I can just donate them and move on. Either way though, they're kind of a classic. I've had them on my shelves forever, so I'm excited to try them. The next book on my TBR that I am very excited about is A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcie Little Badger. This is one of the ones that I'm going to be reading for that snake-themed reading vlog that I mentioned. This is an indigenous magical realism story from what I've gathered, so I haven't looked too much into the plot. I did read the blurb, so I'll share that. Nina is a leaping girl in our world. She's always felt there was something more out there. She still believes in the old stories. Ollie is a cottonmouth kid from the land of spirits and monsters. Like all cottonmouths, he's been cast from home. He's found a new one in the banks of the bottomless lake. Nina and Ollie have no idea the other exists, but a catastrophic event on Earth and a strange sickness that befalls Ollie's best friend will drive their worlds together in ways they haven't been in centuries, and some will kill to keep them apart. And the reason why I didn't want to know more than that going in is it says that it draws on traditional Leap and Apache storytelling structure to weave an unforgettable tale of monsters, magic, and family. But that kind of story structure, I like going in and just experiencing it without expectations of what it's going to be. That element, the way that the story is told and the way that the author delivers the information is part of the experience on its own. So I like going in not knowing much. I kind of felt that way when I read Split Tooth too. Like, the way that the story was structured added so much to the story itself that if I would have known like the plot going into it, it would have been a completely different experience. I think the premise sounds really interesting, and I'm obviously really excited about a snake spirit character. I just think that's going to be so fascinating. And like I said, if you're curious about this one, I will probably have a reading vlog next week, assuming Fossil is done shedding in time, which he should be. Next is a book that I'm much less excited about, and I'm giving myself permission ahead of time to DNF it if I need to. That's going to be The Worlds of Prot by Jean Brewer. The version that I own is all 3 books in the trilogy in one. The book's not actually this long. If it was, I wouldn't read it. I really liked the first book. The movie adaptation of K-Pax is one of my favorite movies. Honestly, I think I enjoy the movie more than the book. I know. It's about a man who gets brought to a mental institution because he claims that he is an alien named Prot from the planet K-Pax. And we're basically following the doctor who is trying to diagnose and cure him. But they can't find any record of him existing. No one ever comes forward saying that they know him. No one's ever seen him before. And he has some strange abilities. He can see certain frequencies of light that humans aren't really supposed to be able to see. He has an understanding of space and space travel that exceeds what the scientists even fully understand. And he starts going around and curing the other patients in the institute. So you're kind of meant to wonder, is he really a human who just needs a lot of help? Or is it all true, and is he really from this planet, and what is he here to teach us? I will admit that it's pretty dated. It has a lot of focus on mental health, and it was written in 1995. So take it with a few grains of salt. But I loved the first book for what it was. The second book was one of my least favorite books. I'm actually planning a video about the 5 best and 5 worst books that I read during my 5-year hiatus, because doesn't that sound fun? And it is on my worst list. I won't get into it all now, but it's basically just a really dull repeat of most of the first book, but without the mystery elements, because even though we don't get a definite answer in the first book, there are enough clues that you can pretty much figure it out. So the second book just seems to go back to square one for absolutely no reason. And the few things that I hated about the first book are really amplified in the second one. The approach to mental health is somehow even worse. And the narrator, who was awful in both books, but was kind of ignorable in the first, is so much more prevalent and in your face in the second book. Honestly, I wouldn't have continued the series, but it really bothers me that I can't technically consider this book fully read because I technically haven't read the last third of it. Because of my fondness for the first book, I'm going to try the third one. I'm going to give it a fair chance. If I like it and it redeems itself, then I'll just keep this and ignore that the second book even exists. But if I don't like the third one, I'm going to get rid of this copy and I'm just going to buy myself a copy of the first book on its own. But don't worry, we are ending on a positive because the final book on my TBR is Blood Like Magic by Liselle Sambury. This is a witchy urban fantasy set in Toronto, so I'm already into it. Our main character has to complete some sort of trial to get her magic, and something goes wrong, but she's given a chance to try again, except now she has to sacrifice her first love or her entire family will be stripped of their magic forever. Aside from the obvious moral issues that she might have with this, she's never been in love before, so she has to meet somebody, fall in love with him, and kill him or doom her entire family forever. This is a duology, and I do own the second book already because I just assumed I would love this and want to continue the series. And if you don't know, Liselle is a fellow author tuber. I'll leave her channel linked down below. I adore her videos. I adore her. I think she is such a great resource for the community. Like, she's so knowledgeable. She's so good at sharing things. And obviously, just as a person, she's so fun. I really love listening to her just like talk about her writing and everything like that. One of my favorite things about witchy books is the connection to other witches, and where this one seems to play so much into family. I really am intrigued with how all of those little elements and dynamics kind of affect everything, and I'm just really curious to see what happens. Like I said, I've heard Liselle talk about this for so long, and I've just been curious about it, and I really want to get to it, and I'm finally getting to it now. And fun fact, I was actually born in Toronto. My family moved back to New Brunswick when I was like a year and a half, so I don't have a lot of memories of actually being in Toronto, but we still have family and friends there and we go back to visit and stuff. So it has a little bit of a local vibe, even though I'm not quite as local anymore. And that is it. Those are 7 of the books that I am planning to read in the next month or so. I know I'm calling it a May TBR, but I don't do a wrap-up every month, so if I read it in June, I'm still counting that as a success. Let me know if you've read any of these, if there's any that you're especially curious or excited about. I'd love to hear that. But that will be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like button to let me know, and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of my videos. I post new videos once a week, usually reading or writing related. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!